Hey guys, just making this video today to walk you through how you can scrape companies registered to a specific address in the UK using Companies House, and then we're going to find their directors using the Company House API. So first things first, for some context, I need to find companies working at co-working spaces because this imaginary client is a real estate company or an office management company who specializes in getting companies their own space. So first things first, I went into ChatGPT, asked it to do a deep research to find all of the main co-working spaces based in London, and here we go. Here they all are. And then the next step here, we come into the advanced company search with on Companies House website rather. So all we need to do here is select active, make sure these companies are actually still in operation, and then all we need to do is one by one search the co-working spaces and add London in there to make sure we're not getting any companies working in WeWork in Manchester, for example. And then, in a rare win by the UK government, they have added a CSV export button, which is nice and helpful. So we're just going to click export all of these companies here. And then we're going to repeat the process. So we can add in another co-working space. If you can think of a way to automate this, please let me know because I'd be very interested. It didn't take ages, but it certainly wasn't quick. And then once we've got all of these CSVs, then we can combine them however you like. I just used ChatGPT and it did a good job. And then we're going to come into this clay table. First thing we need to do now is import said combined list of CSVs. Lovely. So, don't need that. Okay, so as I was saying, first thing we need to do here is import the combined list of CSVs into a single one, and then combine and then add that into clay. So there we go. All of those columns map perfectly. And then we are going to click save and don't run. I've turned the tables off here so we don't automatically run everything at once. But as you can see here, we've got company name, company number, type of company, and importantly, their address. Yeah, so the next step here, after we've imported it, we're going to go into this Clayagent check, or Clayagent column rather, and we are going to ask Clayagent to check the first 700 rows to check if the company is actually in London, or if this office is. For this first CSV, I didn't add the London inside this search because I didn't know I could. So I scraped all the companies working in a certain brands of co-working space across the country. However, a nice tip, just make sure to add London and you'll only get the London ones. And maybe not need this Clayagent enrichment. Anyway, as you can see here, we're starting to hit some London ones. And then we are going to move into the find domain section. So here, with all the companies that are based in London, out of the ones I just enriched, we're going to use Clayagent to find their domains. This is going to be helpful for our fourth view and for Apollo, pretty much. So all of these companies that have a domain, you're going to be able to put these straight into Apollo and run a people search there based off of those companies. There we go. Is it populating into here? Yeah, beautiful. Here we go. We're starting to see them there. So we'll let that load up. And then the interesting bit here, first off, just want to say shout out to Tim Jakobsen because his YouTube video was very helpful in getting me set up with this Companies House API. So first things first, you go create a dev account on Companies House. And then you are going to link it into Clay with a get request. And then here's the endpoint. Make sure this is the dynamic variable. Same thing down here. Make sure that's the dynamic variable. And then I'm only running it if it is in London. But basically from there, all we need to do is query the Companies House API key. And as you can see here, we're getting 5, 3, 6, 3, 4 directors at these companies. They're in here in the items, and we've got John White, we've got Jane Vincent, and these are all big bosses who've got equity in these companies. And then next up, we're going to go into the final one here, into the final view, and we're going to send these directors to our total leads page right here. So this should be able to run despite it saying that it doesn't want us to. Let's add in a variable here. We'll say London equal to London Here we go. Beautiful. And then we can run these 375 that we have enriched that are valid. So as you can see, we're now pushing all of these leads into this table here. And then, next thing we need to do now is for the companies that don't have a domain, we are going to enrich this once again. And as you can see here, we've got these leads imported into the total leads table here, and we can map their names rather. Actually, I think we are going to need to pass their first name and second name. So let's see, there we go. Got that already cooked up in there. And we can run this for our 763. And then we'll map these to these two columns there. And then the second step, once we've done that, is pretty much once we've exported, beautiful, already mapping. Okay, the second step here now, once we've done that, we are going to go into the Apollo import view. And then from here, we are going to add in our Apollo CSV from yesterday. There we go. Import that in there. And then we're going to map the columns from Apollo into the right ones in Clay. And then that means we're just going to have a single list of total leads. I'll map this now and then I'll join you in a sec. Okay, there we go. All the relevant columns mapped. We'll click Save and Don't Run. And here we go. We've got all of the leads who worked at those companies imported into the exact same table. And then next up, we're going to go into Find Domains. This is just going to find, we're going to do another domain search just to make sure that we are finding all of the ones there. Okay. So we will be able to add these into the email waterfall. Beautiful. And this is going to help populate total domains. Got domain there. And for the search. Beautiful. So we'll hide that again, let that populate. And then the next step there is once we've got all of these leads with their domains populated, we are going to push this into the dedupe and enrich table. All that's going to allow us to do is to validate the unique companies, so that then we can score them, check if they're actually irrelevant. This run here requires one credit per row because we're using the native Clay enrichment. And we should have auto dedupe automatically set up on total domains, which is why we spent so much time enriching the domains. And then once we've done that, we are going to move to this view with the totally unique companies, and then we can enrich them here. Let's be a big baller. We'll spend 340 credits there. And as you can see here, we're getting all this useful information. We've got their employee count, we've got the year they're founded, whether they've ever received funding, revenue range, company description. And in this case, for example, I've set up a couple of parameters which we would love for them to check. We want to check if they're within an ICP headcount range, whether they've received funding in the past. And then, yeah. So once this has been enriched, we're going to go back to total leads. We will go to 5 of the fifth view. And then from here, we are going to do a lookup into the table we just sent the data to. And as we do that lookup, these fields here are going to be ticked if we've got it or not. Beautiful. As you can see, these are hitting both that we need. And as you can see, these companies are all three the same, right? These are all of the same. If we did the enrichment in this table, we'd have been spending, 8 or 9 credits for a single check mark. Whereas now, if we push it to that other table, enrich, and then we pull it back, we're saving lots and lots of money. Okay, and then these are all enriched and scored. We're going to come into here. These are our valid emails. We've got received funding is checked and headcount is checked. Here we go. We can run this just as an example. We'll run this for 100 rows. And then this is going to populate into view 7, where all of these leads have where work email is not empty. And here we go. Hopefully, once these emails start loading in, we're going to have a list of leads that work at a co-working space that we're trying to contact, that we found their email for, that they've got the ICP headcount, that they've received funding. And then the final thing here, once this starts to populate, we are just going to push this into a final table so it's nice and easy to view in this final leads table. So I understand this was quite a long video, longer than I usually do, but it's pretty interesting and quite a good way to scrape Companies House to find the owners of these businesses. And pulling it back into Clay to enrich with 1 credit per row is a perfect way to score them. So yeah, that's that. I hope you enjoyed the past 11 minutes. Cheers, guys.